Hi, and welcome to the Children's Science Center. Today we're going to do a special behind-the-scenes tour of one of our tanks that you may have never seen before. Right now, I'm up on top of the Aquatic Life Center, where you may have seen our lionfish, our blue crayfish, or our seahorses swimming around. Up here we have another tank full of some other creatures that sometimes you get to see, sometimes you don't. In here we have some giant hermit crabs as well as our Atlantic horseshoe crabs. Now you may have seen our giant hermit crabs swimming around in our invasive tank with our lionfish or in our tide pool tank that's over in the garage. Now we have these guys up here because these are our program hermit crabs. What that means is that they'll come out for meet and greets and touch encounters. So if you've ever been in the Children's Science Center lab and gotten to be up close and personal with one of our giant hermit crabs, it's one of these guys. Here's a close-up look at some of the creatures in our tank up top. Now, what might look like an uninhabited shell is actually a giant hermit crab. You can see his long antenna coming out. He's using his legs and claws to help him move around. These guys are extremely strong and can grip lots of different surfaces, which helps them tower up on top of rocks. Let's see if we can get a closer look underneath. So it might look like an empty shell actually has an animal hiding inside of it. You can see those legs are starting to come on out, trying to figure out what's going on where he is. Giant hermit crabs are actually the largest species of over 500 types of hermit crabs. These guys can live up to 20 years. Now they have this hard exterior to shell to help protect themselves, as they are invertebrates, meaning they have no backbone. You can see him coming out, his two big claws, as well as his eyes looking in all directions. Unlike human eyes, their eyes sit out on eye stalks so they can see in all different directions. In the wild, they'll eat algae, mollusks, and worms. Here, they'll eat algae off the rocks as well as bits of shrimp and other items that we feed them. Here we have one of our Atlantic horseshoe crabs, and this one's a juvenile. It's still pretty small. As adults, these guys can grow up to be 11 pounds. Now you notice I'm kind of having to give him a little bit of a runway to keep walking because he has lots of legs, 10 legs underneath that help him crawl along the bottom of the ocean floor. You can also see their long tail, or what's called a telson. Now that telson is not venomous, it can't sting you, and what it does is it helps them navigate, helps them swim around, as well as helps them flip themselves over. These guys can regularly get turned over by the current, and so they'll use that big telson to help flip itself over. Here we can get a good look at their telson in work as well as their 10 legs underneath. Now these guys, being similar to fish, they do have gills they have to breathe underwater. So they have book gills underneath. Even though they're called crabs, they're actually more closely related to scorpions and spiders. These guys have lots of eyes to help them figure out what's going on around them. They have 2 eyes on top, compound eyes, as well as 5 other smaller simple eyes, and 2 eyes underneath for a total of 9 eyes. You may have seen horseshoe crabs laying around on the beach if you've ever walked around there before. What those are not actually live or dead horseshoe crabs. They're actually just their exoskeleton. As these guys grow and get bigger, their exoskeleton doesn't grow with them. So they'll molt that and then have a new hard one underneath. So if you're ever at the beach,